Sunday marks 21 years since 9/11. We all have our personal memories from that day, but two Bakersfield natives were in New York when the attacks happened. They credit their friendship and a little fate for narrowly avoiding being on the 104th floor of the South Twin Tower when the planes hit. They told me their lives have completely changed ever since.
Bob Millsap and Mike Dion were 7 years old when they met at Eisler Elementary.
Best friends right away, all through grade school.
And it stayed that way through college. They were even in each other's weddings.
Your friend group kind of remains with you, like wherever you go.
That includes from here in Bakersfield to here in New York City. After college, Mike got a job with a banking firm in the World Trade Center. He and his wife, Elena, moved to there, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Which is literally right across the water. So you could see the towers from my apartment building.
On September 10th, 2001, Bob and his coworker Simon finished a work trip one day early in Connecticut. Bob's mom texting him.
She said, "You ought to go to Yankee Stadium. Roger Clemens is pitching."
Meanwhile, Mike's work gave him last-minute tickets.
And all of a sudden I hear somebody yelling out, my name, Mike, or probably more exact was, Dion.
Dion, what are you doing? Is that you? What are you doing here?
Two friends reunited, but the game got rained out. Mike and Elena offered for Bob and Simon to stay with them. They made plans to attend Mike's 7:30 a.m. work meeting the next day to see his view from the South Twin Tower. Back in New Jersey, it was a late night out at local bars, and they weren't feeling up for that early meeting on September 11th.
So that was a good excuse that I had friends that were, in and we're going to see them off the next morning. And so I went back to bed.
Elena did leave for work, and that's when the planes hit. Back at the apartment, Bob woke up.
I thought everybody was gone because I heard a shower going, and it must have been Elena. I turned the TV on, and I saw it. And then I hollered, "Oh my God, where's Mike?"
Mike came out of his room, Bob and Simon relieved to see him. Elena didn't make it on the PATH train before it shut down, and she went back home.
She left 5 or 10 minutes earlier. She would have been on the PATH train that would have been either under the river or in the, basement of the World Trade Center when the collapse happened.
I'll never forget the emotion of when she came back to the apartment, the hug embrace that, thank God you guys, we did what we did the night before.
They looked outside the apartment window and could see smoke coming from the Twin Towers. Mike's firm lost 66 people that day.
You basically had about 5 minutes to react to when the first plane hit the North Tower, because when the plane hit our building, you had to be low enough and able to get out before the building collapsed. Some of my colleagues said, "Oh yeah, we saw papers flying on the 104th floor when we looked out the window," which normally you wouldn't see papers flying, but you knew that something bad happened.
Back home, family and friends were worried.
People in Bakersfield, my wife, my parents, some of our friends, they didn't know we went out drinking and they just assumed that we were in the building. Those hours afterwards were really, really something else as far as, just the shock and the horror.
They witnessed those first moments in New York during the aftermath of 9/11.
New York had just, everything slowed down. Everyone was looking at each other in the eyes, just so much sincerity and so much goodness. And, that's always stuck with me.
Bob and Mike say it took time to truly process just how close they were to being in the Twin Towers on 9/11.
It took a lot of weeks to realize the magnitude of, oh my God, what, because we were going off adrenaline, off emotion, off, sadness. Once you have time to reflect, a lot of questioning, a lot of wondering, how are there coincidences? Is there a greader power?
It took a while to really, come to grips with that reality that, I'm still living and others, are not.
And nearly 21 years later, not a day goes by where they don't think about it.
It's affected the way I've lived my life ever since. That little thing that happens, blowout, flat tire you get on Highway 99 that bums you out so much. You never know what that kept you from.
I'm always grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful for what I have. And, it's a day that we, should never forget. I use it as motivation in my life and also as a time of reflection, especially around the anniversary.
The anniversary is something they say should never be ignored.
We need to keep that reminder that this is the greatest country in the world, and there's always going to be those that are trying to knock us down, and we've got to stay together and be thankful for all those that continue to enlist and fight for our freedoms and our rights.
Today, Mike and Bob still holding on to their friendship, and those days in 2001, they'll never forget.
We talk every year on 9/11, and there's just something there, some unity there we'll hold on to for the rest of our life.
I want to thank Bob and Mike for sharing their story with us and reminding us just how important it is to never forget.